Hello guys, welcome to my channel LearnTech. This is Sandeep Cole here. I hope you all are doing good. So today's video which we are going to take is continuation of the last video which I had taken on DWP. So last time we saw how to use a service, how to define a workflow, or how to use an existing workflow with the service, and then how to create a service catalog. So in this video, what we are going to learn additionally today is how we can define a new workflow itself. So that's what we are going to see today. So what we will do, we will define a new workflow for us, then we will attach it with a particular service, and then we will see how it works. Okay, so there's a set of methods you need to follow to define a workflow that we will learn today. Okay, let's get started. Now, as you see in my last video, also I had explained you a bit on these, two components, service and uh, workflow. So, similarly, what we will do today, we will define new workflow, and then with the new workflow, we will create a new service, and then we will see how it is being raised. Okay. So, let me go to the workflows. Now, yeah, before going on to the workflows, let me give you an example. So, let me first of all open the digital workplace. So, in this video, what we will see, first of all, we will go to the what we will see. We will define an catalog to raise an incident. Okay, so this is our example. We will define an service catalog which will help us in raising an incident. Okay, so currently you can see this is our service catalog here. So we will define a service to raise an incident, and then we will create a workflow which will help us to define or create an incident. So let me go to the DWP system. Okay, so now here what I need to do here. So now to define a new workflow, you have to go to this section, and here you can see there are already workflows defined here. So in the same area, what we need to do, we need to click on this new workflow. Now, when you will click on this new workflow, so you have to give a name to this workflow. So let me say is this is incident, sorry, incident creation. Okay, so this is an incident creation workflow. Catalog I will not select as of now, it's just where you want to place it. So what we will do now, the system will by default give us a blank, canvas. So on this canvas, we can design our own process for the incident. Now, similarly, as we define this process, similarly you can define, your own processes which you can use, in your system. So some of the processes will have, approvals. Some of the processes will not have any approvals, or some will be a multi-process where you have, based on the conditions you can define it. That process also we will see in the advanced feature of workflow design. Currently, we will see this is a basic thing. So now to raise an incident, we know that creating an incident, there is no approval needed. Okay. So what we will do, we will just define a incident. So for this, you can see this is a start component, this is an end component. Now in here, what I can see here, let me try to see. Now in this left panel, you will see there are different components we have. So these are the different components which you can, they are reusable components which you can use to define a particular process. Okay, so there are different types of components here. For example, you have connection related to this, like connectors. Then you have events. These are all different type of events. This we will see. For example, this is an end event, this is a start event, you can see here. Then you have these timer, error, and error boundaries. We will take this in a separate video to understand this flow, but now, as of now, just basic thing, we will understand how to create an incident again. So now, to define an incident, what I will do, I will use a component called, I'll go to directly to remedy. So here there will be a component called create incident. Okay, so now this has already been given to us as a process, so which we need to build basically now to define a incident. Now, with this only, we will not be able to create an incident. So first of all, let me create a connection between these two. So you have to select this, then you have to define this an arrow here. Just you need to click here and drag it here. So that means from start, we will first go to this process incident. Okay. Now when I click on this, this will give me an option to define the processes for it. Okay. So you can see there are multiple fields which we need to define, and out of that, certain fields are mandatory for an incident to be created. So let me first of all go to the first page. So this is my name of the incident process. So what I will do, initially I need to define my variables for this incident. So whatever variables I needed for an incident creation, I have to define, because these later I need to provide these variables to the service catalog. For some of them will be hidden, some of them will be provided to the user for filling the details, for example description. Now to define this variables, before we go and use this. Now to define the incident variables, before we start using it, what we have to do, we have to define the variables for it, so that we can define here in the process properties. If I go here in the process properties, currently there isn't anything. So what we need to do, we need to define variables which are used for incident creation. So what I will do, I have already, there is a list of mandatory variables which we need to define. So I will start defining them. So just a minute, I have created a note on this. So let me take this. So what I will do, first of all, impact is mandatory. So I will define this. Now this variable ID, what exactly this is? This is the field ID of this field on incident form. So because we will be mapping the value to that particular field, so we have to use a variable ID for this. The remaining information we will keep it as default input, because this is an input, and the data type of this field is text. Okay, so similarly I'll add another field. So I just recorded these these variable IDs because I cannot remember them. So I will, what I will do, I will define all the variables based on this. Now description I need to define, then similarly I have to click on add again, then description. After description, it is incident type. So I would say incident type. Okay. Then similarly, I have to again, let me just minimize this. Okay. So 3 I have defined. I have to define more variables. Now this context variable is very important. I'll explain you the use of this context variable. So variable ID is this, but here in this variable field, the data type which I need to select is service broker context. So this is very something unique to Helix. I will explain you later why we have done it like this and what is the meaning of this particular field. Okay. So now I will define another field, a reported source, and this is my ID. Similarly, I will define urgency. So these are basically the default fields we use in in incident, and which are normally when you define a service catalog in SRM also, there are certain fields which you need to provide because they are used for incident creation. Okay, so I'll say add. So for work status, I have to define this as a local variable. This is ID. So what I need to do, instead of input, I would say local variable. Okay, because this variable will be used later for the updation of the statuses. I will show you that why is it like this. Okay, so I'll save this. Now you can see here I got these input variables. Okay, so there are these input variables. This is one local variable I have. Now I have defined the variables for incident. The second thing is I have to define the mapping now. So what we will do in the setting second time, this one here. So here you can see these are all the process fields which we have. Okay. So we have to define first of all. So what exactly is this and what exactly is this? This is the variable we have defined for this process which we will use, on which we are providing values from our side. These are the fields which are, which are mandatory or which are part of this particular incident process, which we need to provide, details to, so that it is mapped to the incident which we will create. So here what I will do currently, first of all I need to define the connection. So connection ID, you need to click on this build expression. So here by default I got this connection remedy. So if I say click on this plus icon, it will be added for this. Now why this how it came here, how we have got this, and there are more things like this context, question and answers, something like this, like these details, process variables we already have defined. So this all has come because of the, so these are the variables which we have defined. So this all has come because of that context variable which we defined in the questions. So if you see here, when I defined this, I was telling you that I will explain you context as service broker context. So because of this variable, I got this information here in the, if I edit it here, this remaining information I got it. So this is very useful for us to define an incident. Now similarly, I have defined connection. Now I need to define the other fields. So for example, I have to define now the remaining fields. So first I define connection as a remedy. Now service type, so is the incident type basically. So I would say incident. So now I am mapping my variable with the actual incident type in the system. So it is called service type. So then you can see here it is mapped. Similarly, I have to define the impact. So I click on impact. So I would say impact. Just you have to click on this plus icon and it gets added here. Then this is impact. Then similarly urgency. So I will define this urgency. Then reported source is the same reported source. Okay. Then description. I would define this to summary. And also I would, with notes, I will also associate description. That means anything which I provide in the description will be mapped with summary and notes of the incident. Okay. So this is it. Now the, I need to define the login. So for login also, because when you define a, you know, this one, when you raise an incident, who should be, creating this, sorry, incident, or whom I should map. So I need to provide this login. So in the login section, what I will do, I will use one of this context variable. So here, this is, there is a requested by and requested for. So I would use by requested for. So that means, so this incident will, if I raise this incident, so it will take the requested for person's full name here, and that means that is the login ID for which I am defining it. So I can also use the requested by here. It is one and the same thing, but if the persons differ, then it makes different difference here. Okay. Now for the template name and the other information, you can also attach it, work info notes, type, correlation ID, and the other things. But these are all default fields. Only this is mandatory here, correlation ID. I have to define it here as a process ID. If I go here in general, so there's a field called process correlation ID. So I have to attach it. Okay. So apart from it, we don't have to define anything. Now if you connect this to end, so our process is complete, but it will not work. Why? because there is a particular step which I need to add in this in between, so that this process is complete, and that's called something called task receive. So this is a process here in Helix, that we have to add this step in order for us. Yeah, let me connect this first. Sorry. So I'll connect this to end. Okay, now what is the meaning of this task receive? I'll explain. So I did an incident process to create an incident. I created variables. I added them to the system. Then receive task is a component. It helps me in making up. Sorry, helps me in flowing the updates from incident to service catalog. So something, if there is a change in the status of incident from assigned to work in progress, we will see this in the live example. Assigned to work in progress, this receive task will take that status and will update the service catalog. So service request will also be changed to work in progress. If incident is kept in pending, the service catalog will be also set in pending. That is because of this receive task. Okay. So our process is complete here. This is just a basic process flow which we have defined. There are multiple, complex processes that also I will teach you. But as of now, this is just a basic workflow we have created to create an incident. Okay. So let me go and save this. So now if everything is correct, so now the process is saved. If everything is correct, the process will save automatically. If anything you have missed, it will give you an error. You need to fix that, and then you need to, again save. Now my workflow, I have defined a workflow. It is working. Now let me go to dashboards again. So what I will do now, I will create a new service. Let me create a new service. So in the new service, I would say raise an incident. Okay. So I would say raise an incident. So template, I would use IT request. Then catalog, it's okay. I will not use. Then I'll define it. Okay. Now I need to provide something here in the catalog profile. So I have to use a icon here. It is mandatory. So let me use any icon. For example, I will use this one. So, or let me make it more relevant. Let me use something which is something related to this. But this is all the icon which we can define for our particular service catalog. Now here I would say incident. I'm not putting anything additional, just what is required I'm putting. Okay. So this is description of the service. This is summary. This is description of that particular service catalog. I will save this because it's mandatory. So I have to define it. Now in the workflows, I'll click here. Okay. So now you can see there are two, components here, a workflow add and question add. So first I will add the workflow. Now what I will do, I have already defined a workflow, which is create incident. Yeah. So create incident. I will save it. Now for question, I will click on add. So by default, there isn't anything. I would say create single user request, because we are creating a single user request. So I'll define. So now the variables which I had defined are already available here. You can see here. So these are all process related questions. So I would provide them here. So, but I need to define certain values for this. So for example, if I give them this field as a drop down, then I have to define values for this. Okay, just a minute. I would open one. I have to check these values. So for that, okay, I will just edit one of the workflow, not workflows. Close this. So I have to give some, values to those process default values. So for that, I have to go here in the dash service. say raise. Um, Let me see. So I will, okay, let's say report a VPN issue. I'll open it. Let's see if it's using the same process, VPN incident. Yeah, I think it's using the same. So let's copy these. Okay. So this is, the default values for these fields. So I would use them. I will set save. This is impact, right? Yeah. Now urgency is low. So I would here add urgency. I would add rather this as a drop down, and then here I will add a value, something like this. Okay, and then similarly impact urgency description, we can provide it. So I'll add it this as a text area. Okay, then incident type, let me add this also as a single drop down select. Add value, let me just see what is the value. We can say there are multiple values, actually four values: user service request, user service restoration, and infrastructure service request and infrastructure restoration. But we will use just only one example to keep it simple. Then okay, impact, this I have already added. I can also move here this description at the top. Then impact urgency, incident type, okay, reported source. The reported source I can define this is a single, this is email, web, something like this. So let me say web here. But you can, when you're designing the actual process, you can provide the options for user to select here. Okay, so you can define that. So reported source, incident type, description, urgency, impact. I have defined it. Let me save this. So now I need to define a questions to, I will say INC questions. So I need to give it a name to this set of questions which I have defined. Then it is visible for me to use. Now I have defined work. I have attached a workflow to the service. This workflow I had created earlier. I have created now these questions. I have attached them to the service. I will save this now. The remaining things we will not see, like action, service level agreement, cost and quantity, CMDB. CMDB is if you want to attach a CI with this request, we will not go there. And the cost and quantity you already know. This is in the service catalog also. Service level agreements is again SLAs, which you can edit here, define the service level agreements for this catalog. So what I will do, currently this is in draft state, it is still not live. So what I will do, I will approve and publish it. So once this is approved and published, okay, so this will be available here as a service, which is currently published. Now what I need to do, I need to go to DWT administration. I have to enable this service from my my IT admin. You know this that when you add a service in service catalog, you have to enable it from the administration console. So here I will go here in the service request. Then here in the service request, it's taking some time. But this process is same what was there in earlier in the service catalog or SRM. We had to enable this from my IT. So similarly, we have to do it here. Let me close this. Go to catalog section. So in the catalog section, what I will do, I will add that service, or like my catalog is raise an incident. I would add that to the, to the one of the, okay, I'll add it here, something has failed or ego, so I will add it. So where you need to find your service is here, service broker items. You go here, here you can go to the, like my is raise an incident. So this is my request. I'll add and then I will save it. Okay, now by default it will go to this section which I have added. This is the section where it should go. Now let me go to digital workspace. I'll refresh it and it should be visible there. And let's now raise it and see if it is working. Now let me go to that section. Okay, this is raise an incident. You can see our distorted icon. So uh, let's click here on the raise an incident. Now I'll click request. Now I need to provide issue with my network. I'm just giving a random example. So here you can see I'm getting this option to select low incident is user service request and then web. Okay, and then I'll submit it. Now if everything is configured, everything is intact, it we should work. Otherwise, if it is not, then we will get a fault or we'll get an error. So let's see. I think it is not working. So there is some issue with it. So if I click on here, so it has failed. So it hasn't worked. So let me see what is the fault. Okay, it is not working for Alan because it is. So finally, I have identified what is the issue here. You can see here, this was the fault. So what it is actually trying to do, it is trying to search with the full name equal to login ID. I'll tell you why, what is the problem here. So let me go to back to my process. Let me edit it. So here, what I had done actually, yeah, just let it load. So if I go here, so here in the login, what I had actually mapped, I had mapped this. I had mapped the full name. So what it was trying to do, it was trying to go to the people form, search with the full name, equal to login ID, and that's where we were getting that error. Now we have rectified it. So let me remove this and I'll put the login name. Let me say okay. I think it's already saved, so I'll not change it. Now let's go back to the catalog and raise it again. Okay, we'll use the same default fields and I'll submit this. Now you can see the request is submitted now. If I open it here, it is already in progress and I have got a, we have defined it. Sorry, we have already, we are able to raise it and it has been raised successfully. Now let's see in the system how it look like. If I go to the incident form through Smart IT, so let's see there that what is the how is that request raised and what is the mapping which has been defined there in the system. But you got my point that how we fixed it. Okay, this is the problem was in the mapping here in the workflow, that instead of login name I was mapping the full name. Okay, let me go back here in Smart IT. Let's go to ticket console, and in the ticket console I will, yeah, this is my request. I think I just gave a random this text. So you can see here, and there is some random text I had given actually, and this is because we had mapped summary to the description what we give, and similarly what is there in the description should be mapped to the notes, which is here itself. But you can see here the request has been or the incident has been created here in the system, and if I click on edit, I can go and modify this. Now if let's suppose I currently this is in assigned state here. Sorry, if I go here in the system, my ticket is in progress state. So let's see what will happen if I move this to in progress, or let's say we'll keep it this in pending. Client action required. We'll save this. Okay, I need to provide the assignee for this to move to pending. So let me do that. Where exactly is the assignee? Okay, I'll assign this to myself. I will save it. So this is currently in pending, client action required. Now if I go back to service catalog, let me refresh it. Let's see what is the status here. So here itself, if you open this, it is in pending status. So this flow from incident, from here, the status flows from smart IT or from incident to service request using the task receive component which we have used in the system. Now you can also similarly, for example, if I add some comments here, so let's suppose I add some random comments. Similarly, this will flow from here to the system here. If I let me just refresh this, so you can see the workflow updates coming from the system here, from that ticket to the incident itself. So I think it's still not there. It's not coming. So I would say incident to service catalog. I'll keep this as public, general, post it. Let me see if it is here. So these are the basically comments. Sorry, these are the comments which flow from service catalog to to your incident, and from incident to service catalog. You can see here this I had provided an incident. It has come here as a comment. Okay. Now when I move this ticket to final status, or I will, for example, let me resolve this case. Customer for future enhancement. I would provide something random. I'll save it, and then you can see here this was the earlier updated which we had added a note from service catalog. It has come here. Similarly, whatever we added here from the incident, it has gone to the service catalog. Now we will see we have already resolved this ticket. So let me go back to the ticket. I'll refresh it. So it's gone here. It's already completed. You can see here if I open the completed ones here, my ticket has already been completed. Okay. So this was a complete flow of creating a new workflow, defining a new workflow to raise an incident. Similarly, you can define new workflows to create work order. So in the next video also, I will show you how to create a case, because that's a part of the business workflows. That also I will explain you how to define a case from service catalog, how you can raise an case into the case management system. That we will see as part of the next video. I hope you liked my video. Please subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon to get the updates. Thank you. Thanks.